What's up, fam? Welcome back to George Reviews. I am the 80s Transformers fan, and today I have another S.H. FIGUARTS Dragon Ball Z figure, and it is yet another Frieza. This is S.H. FIGUARTS Mecha Frieza. Yeah, I'm working my way up to full power Frieza. In front of us is the unopened figure. He's packed in the standard S.H. FIGUARTS Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball packaging, and I guess Dragon Ball Superhero. This is the standard packaging. It differs slightly from the event exclusives by being a lighter white packaging. You can see most of the figure within the window box. You can see some of his accessories. Some are off to the side, but you kind of get the feel of what you're going to get in the packaging. And if a clear look into the window box was not enough, they put the figure right on front of the box right here. We have Frieza doing one of the poses from the arc when he was talking to Trunks. The wraparound image to the top of the box has another pose exactly from the anime, from Frieza in black and white. Side of the box continues the same theme and the same things. The back of the box says Mecha Frieza. We get that pose. We get the poses from around the box in color now. Has a few words in English. Basically, Bandai Namco. Turn around side of the box. You get a little bit of a look into the packaging. And that is basically it. So let's get Mecha Frieza open and get him chopped up. Inner flap shows you the contents of the packaging and how to assemble Frieza, including his chopped in half form. He comes with a total of 4 hands, 3 packed in and wearing 1 on his body. It shows you where to put the tail and how to remove the arms and how to mount Frieza on the stand. This is our figure and the contents in the clam that we already basically kind of went over. Everything's falling out everywhere. So let's get Frieza completely out and take a look. Okay, now transferring the contents of Frieza's packaging to the turntable so we get a closer look at those accessories real quick and recap the contents of the box. Frieza has 3 interchangeable hands. Counting the ones he's packaged with, that brings it to a total of 4. He has 1 mechanized tail not yet attached and 3 interchangeable heads, each one depicting a separate facial expression for multiple display options. Also included is the secondary torso depicting Frieza being sliced in half by Trunks. And Bandai has packed in a display stand so you can recreate that scene. And lastly, packaged in but not least, is the actual figure himself. So let's get Frieza together and take a look. We always start with the head on my channel of an action figure. He has a slightly smiling face. This is a perfect, it's not neutral, but it's a perfect resting expression for Frieza. I could tell just by glancing at all the paint apps are done very well. We got some matte blacks. We got some shiny silver, but not over glossy. A little bit of turquoise for whatever these is. Like, what purpose did these things actually serve, or whatever? And then like these little bumps of Saiyan armor all over his body. It is done well. The purple circle on his shoulder and the purple on his chest is glossy, but not over glossy. I mean, it just looks perfect. Let's get this plastic off Frieza. Yeah, I can tell you this is going to be my favorite, if not 1 or 2 favorite Friezas, and I haven't even gotten started. I haven't put the tail on yet. Everything looks to be done very well. He feels quality, just a little bit of touch that I've done so far. I mean, I'm already happy with this figure. So let's get this tail on. There is a port in the peg system. Let's get it in here. Okay, I think I got it all the way in there. It's just a little bit of a gap. I guess that's to leave room for articulation, but it seemed like it could go in just a little bit more. But here it is. The tail is articulated in 2 points. I'm back here already. Might as well talk about it. It's articulated in 2 points. It rotates on that hinge right there. And at this point down here, does the exact same. Back to Frieza. His face. He has the red eyes. Again, slightly smiling expression. He's a little bit happy. He's waiting for Goku. I'm gonna kill that monkey. It's amazing how they captured the cartoon. And over here he has the Saiyan armor type thing on shoulder and the bicep. Has it in the crotch and on the thighs. Now how well is this protecting Frieza if it really wasn't that strong on the Saiyans or his troopers? Continuing to take a look at Frieza's body. He has a chest scar right here. I wish they had put a little bit of paint in there to bring it out a little bit more, because if I slide it back some, it kind of gets blended in. He has these same little turquoise bubbles down here, giving him the double nipple that's on his head. Like, what do these parts actually do? They just reached into the garbage. Are these spaceship parts? Or what did they just do to Frieza? And then how did this improve Frieza's function? He has two closed punching fists packed in, and the little robotic parts look really, really good. This silver is awesome. I hope it's done in plastic and not paint, because I don't ever want it to rub off, because this thing looks very, very cool. Alright, enough of me gushing over the figure. Let's take a look at Frieza's articulation. And Frieza can look up this far, but this is using the neck joint as well as the head. If you just try to use the head, this is as much as Frieza can get up and then down. This is it. But the combination of the head and neck, we can go down this far and up that far. 360 on the head. Got movement at the base of the neck. Frieza can get his shoulders up this far. And there's a clever little joint in these shoulders. They move around up and down on this hinge right here. That is nice. So he can get some more clearance. And there's a little bit of a butterfly joint in here from the back, allowing his arm to come across his front this far. 360 at that ball joint right there in that hinge. Move this pad. Get the bicep swivel. This much of an elbow bend. I was expecting a little bit more, but that's not bad at all. It's double jointed. Mechanized fist. 360. And there's an in and out hinge. Frieza's torso. To rotate this much, this is utilizing the waist and the torso. If I just hold this part, we can get this much out of it. Turn it this far, and see if this little tab articulates like all the rest of the Friezas. I think, yeah, there it is. It moves in and out for the articulation like the rest of the Friezas. And he can rear back this far and forward. And we saw like the 360 going on. Great articulation on this guy so far. Get his little stubby mechanical legs out to the sides. Front and back. Thigh swivel, complete 360 out of that. And then at the hinge right here at the crotch moves in and out. A lot of articulation. Knee bend. No rotation at the shin that I can feel coming down to his ankle. 360 out of the ankle. And it rocks from side to side. And front and down. So I don't feel any real weakness of Frieza's articulation. So again, I am very happy with this figure thus far. Let's do interchangeable heads. First up is the gritting teeth face. And now I guess to save a measure of plastic and a bit of factory money, they took a couple pieces out that you have to transfer over each time you change a head. And boy, I don't think that's going to be fun. And you just charge me a little bit more money. I guess, you know, they try to keep costs down. They try to keep consumers happy. But as far as I'm concerned, just hit me with the cost. Let's detach Frieza's head. Oh, that's because I detached the entire neck, which I don't think I was supposed to do. There we go. And there we go. So, take these parts out.
What's these mechanical enhancements?
Head. Fits in nice and snug. And just bring it over here. And here we go. Let's get this head on. And just like that, Frieza has a new head. And this is when he was getting angry at Trunks. And it is done equally as well. And I could see it when I first took it out of the packaging. There were no flaws on it. And no flaws that I can see now looking at it up close. Here we have the grinning face, and this must be before the fight actually started because it was all downhill very quickly for Frieza. And here is that final head attached to the body yelling face. I say this one for last because I think this is my favorite. This is him getting angry at Trunks when he realized he's really in for a fight. And again, this head is done just as well as the rest. It's a hard display option choice. And I may actually get a second one because I would like to display my Frieza being chopped in half and have my main body Frieza at the same time. Next up are the interchangeable gripping hands, and man, these things are tiny. And here are those clenched hands. Very nicely executed. Frieza's open hands, which can be energy blast projection or pushing a blast back hands. Lastly, we have the pointing hands, equal opposite, which can be the death ray or the planet killer. Very nice. Alright, now we come to probably the greatest accessory that was packed in with Frieza, and it is the sliced torso. Let's get it off the stand. This torso. But what I was hoping for was just a shell. Now this is like a solid mass of plastic, probably taking up a lot of money. It appears to be sliced. It's designed to be that way, but it's not two cleaved in half pieces glued together at all. This is one piece, and it looks very, very good. But I would have just wanted a cheap shell. You know, it didn't even have to be filled in the middle. Just paint it pretty decent on both sides. That way we can have a totally different display piece and not have to add pieces if you want both looks on your shelf at the same time. And while swap and play is cool, but at this price and at my age, I'm not trying to pop these pieces in and out continuously. So speaking of popping in and out, let's get started. So I guess we pulling it apart at the bicep. Pay attention to the box panel. Alright, that was pretty easy. There's the peg, support, and here we go. And how long before we loosen these joints, popping them in and off? Form, arms, and body. Oh wait, wrong property, but still Bandai. Frieza's left leg. Right leg. Yeah, oh man, this guy looks so cool, but I want both at the same time, and maybe they planned it that way. Oh, you know what? Gotta get the tail. And again, how long before we put a lot of wear and tear on the figure going back and forth between the two looks? It looks fantastic, but I think they should have gave us just a hollowed out shell with the legs and arms and tail that was not articulated to go along with this guy. Speaking of articulate, does the head move? I guess it wouldn't move, it would fall apart if it did. But yeah, this is one hard piece. And while I'm complaining about it, it feels so high quality. It is awesome. Let's get him on the stand. This is Frieza on the stand. While it's very, very cool, but this thing is low to the ground. When it was just a torso, I really didn't think about it. And you can only manipulate it back and forth. If you put the sand straight up and down, this is Frieza. He's kind of hunched over. And I guess this is how he was in the air. But you got to get him up to get that display, which we'll take a look at in a second. Here's fourth form Frieza, just to show you what I mean. Like, he's nowhere off the ground to get sliced by Trunks. And here is Trunks, and you can kind of see what I mean. I got Trunks on a flight stand and Frieza down here, and to kind of get that angle, let's try this. Frieza up here, and maybe with a little camera angle trickery, we can get Frieza sliced in two. Yeah, that's more like it. Let's get a good look at our sliced Frieza. It is very, very cartoon accurate when he was just beginning to slide apart and open up. Cut runs throughout the body. It's even accurate with the tail not being straight down the center and rather the slice over to the side because of the position Frieza was in. I think Bandai did an excellent, excellent job on this figure. Had to pull Frieza together so we can get the size up and a rundown. Backing up to his fourth form, third form, Frieza's second form, numero uno. You know the comparisons aren't complete till we get a little bit of anime artwork out here. Time to close out this review of Mecha Frieza, and I can tell you he's almost a perfect figure. I think he's my favorite Frieza out of the ones that I've reviewed and you've seen in this video. The second form Frieza was my favorite, followed by the first, but now this one clearly takes the cake. I love the accessories. He has great articulation. The paint is perfect. It captures everything from the episode he was in before he got sliced up. I really couldn't ask for more, but I will anyway. The only way this figure could have been better is, and this is just a wish, I wish they had included the energy effect, the giant ball that he created. I'm pretty sure they wouldn't come up with anything that big, but they could have came up with the start of that ball and give it that really unique look that it had. But as it stands, this is almost a perfect figure. And where it isn't perfect at is the base of the tail where it plugs in. And mine, immediately out of the box, I could feel it when I first snapped it in that I was going to have a little bit of trouble with it. It's not really bad, but it could have been better, at least on my copy, and your mileage may vary. But other than that, I had no QC issues. The only thing that irritated me, and this is like a choice that they made, this isn't something that's wrong with the figure, the fact that you got to plug in the two separate head pieces to each individual head, that kind of bugs me, especially when you're trying to switch it around to take pictures and you go from one look to another look to a pose to another pose, and you constantly pulling these pieces out. If I could find some cheap on the aftermarket that I can just add to the head and leave them in there, I definitely will look for more, but you shouldn't have to do that. And I understand they did it to save us money and not have to add that little bit of measure of plastic to each figure. But I mean, man, come on. He has a total of 4 heads. You got to move that thing around 4 times. But other than that, great figure. If you don't have it, I highly recommend it. It's my favorite Frieza so far. And the only one I don't have is Golden Frieza. So my next review that you will see will be Full Power Frieza. I'm looking forward to that. People calling that figure of the year. But for me, as far as the Friezas, this is figure of the year. That's all I got for you guys. Thanks for watching another episode of George Reviews. The reviews are every toy has a story.